Bonjour! You have entered interview number 2 with Jeff Zapata. Here on this interview, he talks about his RL Stine book. He talks about how he got into collecting. And he also talks about his Stan Lee moment that resurrected the GPK style. So tune in and enjoy!
Jeff, I want to switch gears a little bit because I want to give you a chance to talk about your artwork, obviously, within the RL Stine books, which, again, I had messaged you the other day. I think is just fantastic. It's fun. It's light. It's just something a little bit different, but at the same time, kind of staying towards the original characters. So I love that you were able to do that. If you guys haven't purchased it yet, Thrills and Chills just came out a few weeks ago. Phenomenal book featuring the artwork of Mr. Jeff Zapata. Really is good stuff. So
and a great cover by Joe Simko and great inks by Fred Wheaton. Me and Fred worked together for years. You know, he's painted Garbage Pail Kids and Wacky Packs and stuff like that. But I hired him because I loved his inking. At first, I said, "Wow, you ink just like my friend Jay Lynch."
Yeah, that's awesome. Talk a little bit about that third book that's coming out, because again, obviously they released the title, but there's not a lot known about it, and I know you've done a ton of work on it. So share some of that with us if you can.
What's great about it, both Fred and I are nature lovers, and I don't know if people seen my videos and stuff like that. I go hiking, I look for old bottles, I go to old places and stuff like that. So I see a lot of trees, I see a lot of vistas of mountains and stuff like that. And what's great about this one, not only the kids are having a great time doing this, you're going to meet new kids, but you're seeing them in an environment where the animals are reacting to them, nature's reacting to them, how they react to nature. And I find that interesting. And that's what's great about Bob putting these characters in situations that I don't think us as collectors would ever put them in. And also they have personalities that we would probably never think of, for instance, the way that we look at the characters are through the cards. A writer looks through them through the names, So Atom Bomb, of course, he's a guy that blows up. Handy Sandy, they don't understand it's someone who's going like this. And that's why her name, Handy Sandy's to them is someone who's probably good at fixing things. So I had to sort of transform the characters to make them work with that new personality direction. We're not going to exploit what they look like. We're going to exploit what their name and personality is. What Bob does is constantly twist and also introduce new characters or bring back some characters that he liked in the first one. Obviously, he loves Brainy Janie. I kind of made it my own rule within the book that Brainy Janie and Atom Bomb are sort of a couple. And that's sort of like a Easter egg secret thing with me, because even though Bob doesn't say it, I'm like, I think they're dating.
There's chemistry.
And when the pandemic came, everything changed except the ship dates. So as you can see, and just to give you an example, this is a great segue for this. So for the first book, just to show you just how we weren't like sure what was going to happen and what's going on. So I don't know if people remember the first page or whatever, this page.
Yep.
And as you can see, I originally had the teacher to look like almost the Gadzuka teacher from Wacky Packages. And also, if you look in the bottom, there are completely different characters down here. And it's also the size. But like I said, when we first did this, I thought I was just going to be like a rough artist or something just to help get the presentation stuff going, And then later they said, no, we want to use this. And eventually I had to take that, shrink it, move it up, and then redo it. So then they wanted an older teacher and different characters. So I had to take this and then place it over that. And then that's how we got that drawing. But originally I was like, I would have drawn it just like that in the first place. But what we were doing was just trying to get it on time. And whatever we had, let's try to make something out of it. And the second one was a little bit better than that. I don't know which one is this, but this one made it to the, this is the one I inked and drew. I drew everything, but and what we did was get some of my inks that I thought were going to be roughs, and Fred helped us go over certain things. Like I had Fred be, hey, can you fix this? Can you do that? But this one Fred didn't touch, as you can tell, because it doesn't look as good as when Fred does. But you also see like how I had to draw him. Like I try to draw him in a few times. His big Buddhist mama, question marks and stuff like that.
The one thing I did want to say thank you for, and looking at it to you kind of had hinted at it, kind of transcending Garbage Pail Kids from the adults to the children. And my kids who are 9 and 11 absolutely love Garbage Pail Kids. Opening packs is something that we share together that means the world to me. And it's really neat to see how much you're actually influential in them liking Garbage Pail Kids. We've watched 30 Years of Garbage a few times now, the Garbage Pail Kids story that you were obviously very influential in, just to give them a background on everything. And these books, they absolutely love the books. And it's just really neat to me that when they're going through and they're getting a visual and they're looking at the artwork in here, that's your artwork. So really, honestly, I want to say thank you for helping me to get them to love Garbage Pail Kids by some of the things that you have done in the past.
Thank you. That means a lot. It really does. It helps us pick up the pencil again. What got me into Garbage Pail Kids was I don't know, like if you guys, I was brought up with Monsters magazines, and believe it or not, I'm not a religious person, but in my family we used to have these big expensive Bibles with beautiful paintings of I didn't even know who these people were. You know what I mean? But they were beautiful paintings. I just loved the paintings. And also watching, my dad had magazines of, Popular Mechanics and stuff like that, and Life magazines. So I've always loved paintings and that sort of thing. So Wacky Packs was my first love with tops besides the candy. And then Garbage Pail Kids, it was right when I was 13, 14, and I was going on to other things, but I had to secretly collect them. I don't know if I had to secretly collect them because I didn't want people to know that I was still collecting, cards. But what was great was like no one understands. Look at the paintings. Look how great they are, and that sort of thing. So what got me into Garbage Pail Kids, period, was the art and the pulp look of it. And in the 80s, even in the 80s, the only time you would see that is maybe on an Iron Maiden cover or something, It kind of reminded me of heavy metal, sadistic, images being in little cards. And I'm like, how are they selling this to little kids, But I'm not collecting them. It's not me. I just found this, because, you're with friends who are, they're, I'm already dating. I'm already doing that. And you can't be collecting cards. It was bad enough I was collecting comic books. So like even comic books was almost like a thing, like I was scared to show. But Garbage Pail Kids, I had a deck, I had it and I literally hit it. And, but what was funny is that it was, after that, I really got into comic books, and it became like such a soft memories, just sort of like if you went fishing and you just had a great day and you remember that. And then when I got into tops, like, oh my God, you guys did the Garbage Pail Kids. Like for some reason, I didn't put it together. And then when I got to know the artists and how it was made, I fell in love with it almost as if I was 13 or 14, even though I was in my 20s or whatever at the time, starting at Tops. It's funny, I started my 20s at Tops, and I was in like my late 40s when I left. So there's a lot of, growing up to do in between that. But it was great to revisit that memory and seeing that pulp thing. And not only that, John Pound did covers for horror comics. And then when I got to know him, like, you did, oh my God, you did that. I love that cover that I collected when I was 10, 12 years old. So, and plus Norm Saunders lived a block away from me when I was a kid in New York. I think he liked my mom because he would give her uncut sheets. I don't know. but and I used to have that. So all of that put together of having uncut sheets from Norm Saunders and buying candy from Tops, because one of my best friends is Len Brown. I talk to him every week all the time. And we have so much in common that I'm like, that's why I must have picked that up. You know, it's like you and I are, we both love Flash Gordon, rockabilly music, model, you know, all types of dumb stuff, you know. Gary Girani's another one, old school guy, you know, did all the Star Wars cards. So I kind of felt like I was born one generation either too late or too early, you know, because I would have loved to have been with these guys when they were growing up, Tom Bunk, you know, John Pound and Len, because they had experiences that I love doing now. And I wish I was the guys who saw Ghostbusters the way that they do. You know, when I saw Ghostbusters, like, oh, that's great. I love that movie. It's great. Some people just love it. And I could understand it because of the time they saw it, you know? So to me, Raiders of the Lost Ark was my biggest, you know, I've always been 1 foot here, 1 foot there, which I guess I was the perfect transition editor to have to be working with the originals and hire new guys. And I'm very proud to be one of the, you know, the guys that hired Brent Engstrom, Joe Simko, Neil Camera, you know, David Gross, Layton DeJarnette, the list goes on and on. But I did not pick them lightly at all. Not at all. They went through a test that only I know of, where they, you know, what it was, you had to be a painter, you had to be a cartoonist, and you got to be into it. And those guys at the time, there wasn't a lot of boards where people were posting their artwork, so you could, you know, oh, that guy's great, that's great. Like now, you got a flood of people that, if I knew now, I'm like, wow, you know, I could have hired this guy, you know. But at the time, these were the outspoken, and these were the guys who delivered and believed and knew the product. When I left Tops, it was, you know, I was very vocal of how artists were treated and how sketch cards were going to be certain things and stuff like that. But the people that came after did such a great job. Colin and Jessica and all these people. One thing I want to say is each editor plants a flag on to GPK that goes on. You know what I mean? So like we each put something forth for the next person to build and to expand and stuff, you know, like that. And when I had to change the Garbage Pail Kids was through this, the magnet set. And that was my last set. And that was the Stan Lee story when Stan Lee's last day at what he thought was his last day at Marvel, his wife said, why don't you just do this comic that you want to do? So he did the Fantastic Four, and he did it the way that he wanted to. So I said, well, I know I'm quitting. This is going to be my last set. And I'm like, I'm going to do it the way I want it. And I only told Mark Pingatore about it. And he still has the email. And I said, this is going to be a secret. We're going to go back to basics. I don't want detailed backgrounds. I guess when I say stereotypes, it might be taken wrong, but I meant like stereotypes of like the nerd, the you know, the show off, that sort of thing, and get back to those um, type of characters with just an airbrush background that might hint of where they're at, or some kind of moody background where it shows the mood. I said, well, they can't be too mad at me because they already have the old ones. They already told me, like, put these old. And I'm like, but if we're putting this here, shouldn't the cards look like the guys in the front? So nobody said anything. So I said, you know what? Once I'm gone, and it's because it'll be printed by the time I'm gone, blame me if they, complain, because I knew they were still a little bit, but at the time, Topps was almost like a train without an engineer. It was going through some transitions where managers and bosses and they were cleaning out certain people, and that was one of the reasons why I left. I was like, I don't like this atmosphere at all. I'm like, it's not fun. So I left, and it had even a better thing hanging out with the fans because I didn't know I was so welcomed when I left, and I'm like, I could pay my rent still and not have a real job. And I thank you, all of you guys, for doing that,
and we appreciate you, Jeff, for sure.
I spent the last 5 years of my dog's life because of you guys without having to go to a job. And that meant a lot to me. And it was because of Garbage Pail Kids.
Jeff, you've got a lot of really cool stuff behind you. Anything else you want to maybe show us from back there?
Colored work that I do. I do a lot of colored stuff, and I don't always sell it. Here's the 2 books that came out. I don't know. Here's some more colored pieces. I just do. Sometimes I just do this in one night.
God, that's cool looking.
And that's my little Adam Wolverine. And I just had this vision of Adam breaking through a wall and you're not seeing him, just this weird dramatic sort of thing I would love to do. Another thing is my little map that I did for myself of Eddie's. What I always thought Eddie should have a gang of bats, but they're like, sort of like, I don't know if you ever seen that cliche of a gangster with a bunch of hoods that like henchmen that are stupid. You know what I mean? Okay, boss, whatever you say, and each one has a different personality. So you got Snack Bat. So he always eats stuff and messes up the plan. I forgot who this is Stink Bat. He just stinks. And we got Spit Bat. And not only does he just regularly spit, he spits fire as well. So but for me, having these little details, when I draw like certain like this one, that's probably Snack Bat on right here. But it's good to have different. For me, if I with Garbage Pail Kids, I have a whole mythology of who's their father, who's this, who's that, and Fred and I have been talking about making a graphic novel based on some of my stuff, and it's great that fans have been doing sketch cards based on my mythology, where one fan did the Blowjo Evil Eddie thing that I've been doing, and I was so honored, and he gave me credit. There's not too many artists who copy what you do and give you credit and at least ideas and stuff. So I honored that person. But here's another drawing of a depressing sort of Evil Eddie of the sort of thing that I do. But I have a lot of stuff. There's so many stuff all over here. I wish I could show you every darn thing. Here's some stuff. Here's I don't know if you remember Jay Lynch. Here's a comic book we haven't finished, and this is his inks, and it's a story that he wrote that was never done, not finished yet. He passed away, my good friend. We also were going to do a thing called Jerk Comics. And we got a jerk over here. This one I really like. And we need to finish. And this is Flop Eye. This one you got to sign really well. And the other thing is a personal joke is that we would always have like olive oil with breast for some reason and make her sexy and call her Liz Taylor. And we would have Chuck Connors for no reason. It makes no sense.
Completely random.
Chuck Connors. And then he had the eye liquor as the last, and that's how, what we would do is just take, I would do one drawing and then he would do one drawing. And believe it or not, I'm the guy, I would erase over him sometimes and draw something else over it. And some people like, God, you would erase over Jay, but you had to, to make sense out of the drawing. And, but like Jay was my roommate for years when he divorced his wife, not for years, but when he divorced his wife. So like you get to know somebody. So like what was great was when I got to draw with him was like drawing with my brother on a Saturday morning with our cereal in front of us, and we're laying on the floor, drawing. That's how we did it. And I also would see him draw sketch cards. He would have like 100 at a time. He would just draw like 100 noses, then 100 eyes, then like a printer or something. And it was amazing. It was amazing to see him do that. And here's a cut piece from the book of these are not the final, but like these are an expression I might have wanted to put in the book, and you want to see some of the character, first rough character images for the book. When you say meet the Garbage Pail Kids, that sort of thing. And this is done with rapidographs and wow. And what's funny, I drew these before I started really reading the story, because that's one of the first things. And then I started seeing them like, well, half of these characters can't do what they do, what they are. So it was kind of, eventually the proportions had to change just a little, just so they could be two more things I'm going to show you guys. And maybe three more things. And then I'll stop showing off here. Here's this. I don't know if you ever saw this.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
That's the GPK. I sort of did a GPK poster. What you're missing is a circular thing of him holding that. And I did that as a separate thing because I wanted to be perfectly mechanical. But
God, that's cool.
The very, very first version of this, Adam Goldberg has. And I think I gave it to him or when he bought something else. And if you want to see something else, I don't know if you guys remember Spider Manny from A&S1. Here's one of the first.
Yep.
This is an original first roughs. As you can see, there's a city there. And then later I made it into a swing set. And I discussed it with, like, I would discuss it with John Pound and stuff like that, and be like, you know what, I think I'll make it a swing set and stuff like that. And that's how we did it.
Jeff, thank you so much. Again, Thrills and Chills is out now. You can find it anywhere that you can purchase books. It's absolutely fantastic. If you haven't bought it, definitely go out and get it. Absolutely a great time talking to you. You've been absolutely amazing. Shared a lot of great stuff with us. And from the bottom of GPK fans' hearts, we want to thank you again for bringing back the OS style. It is absolutely imperative. So thank you.
It was a team effort. Thank you so much. I also thank Mark Pingatore. You guys are great. And I wish you the best of luck on your show. And if you ever need anything, I'm always there.